Camera test for Oppo Find X7 Ultra. Hello my dear friends, how are you? I hope you are well and in good health. Today I have a new and important video with you, which is testing the camera for the Oppo Find X7 Ultra. I hope you like it, but before you watch the video, subscribe to the channel to receive everything new and useful. Now let's continue the explanation. We put the Find X7 Ultra through the rigorous XMark camera test battery to measure its performance in photo and video quality and zoom from an end-user perspective. This article describes how the device fared in a variety of tests and several common use cases, and aims to highlight the most important results of our test with a snippet of the data captured. Summary: main camera specifications. Primary 50MP 1-inch sensor, 23mm equivalent f/1.8 lens, autofocus, optical image stabilization ultra-wide, 50MP 1.95-inch sensor, 14mm f/2 equivalent lens, autofocus tally 1, 50MP 1.56-inch sensor, 65mm equivalent f/2.6 lens, autofocus, optical stabilization tally 2, 50MP 1/2.51-inch sensor, 135mm equivalent f/4.3 lens, autofocus, optical stabilization positives, good color rendition and white balance in photos and video, excellent bokeh effect with good subject isolation and high levels of detail, very good detail in the medium and long term, good trade-off between texture and noise in photos and video, even in low light, accurate exposure and wide dynamic range in portraits and landscape shots. Cons: slight loss of detail when shooting close up and in ultra wide shots, unstable exposure and tone mapping in video, especially in high contrast indoor scenes, sometimes displaying abnormal texture. Slight overexposure sometimes in low light photos. The results were excellent in all areas of testing, but the Oppo phone particularly stood out in terms of taking selfies, thanks to natural, accurate colors and high levels of detail in all shooting conditions. Oppo's latest flagship features an impressive list of hardware specifications, including a 50MP high-resolution image sensor on all 4 camera modules. The main camera comes with a very large 1-inch variant capable of collecting a lot of photons and thus image information. In practice, this resulted in natural-looking images with high levels of detail and low noise in all test conditions. In terms of telezoom, the Find X7 Ultra offers 2 periscope cameras, which deliver very high levels of detail at 3x to 6x zoom and beyond, in all lighting conditions. Bokeh images in portrait mode showed accurate subject isolation, as well as excellent color rendition and high levels of detail, thanks to the use of the 3x zoom module in this mode. Unlike some other flagship devices, the Find X7 Ultra does not use the HDR format in video but is still based on the 8-bit SDR format. However, video output remained excellent, with accurate subject exposure and a wide dynamic range. Videos feature vivid colors and natural skin tones, as well as a very good trade-off between detail preservation and noise reduction, even when recording in low light. Please note that our test sample images were captured at default settings in a proprietary HDR format and displayed on the device's screen using Pro XDR technology. Currently, Oppo's system is not widely compatible with other Android devices, but Oppo has announced that it will be compatible in the future with Google's Ultra HDR standard. Since XMark does not have access to the visualization tools required to evaluate the proprietary HDR format, our evaluation was performed using an SDR visualization workflow. It's worth noting that the Pro XDR shots provided more pleasant contrast in dark conditions than their SDR counterparts. Family friends, our testers found the Oppo Find X7 Ultra to be an excellent device for taking photos and videos of friends and family. The camera captured vivid colors, transformed skin tones naturally, and created a stunning effect. Additionally, it did a great job of freezing the action in scenes with moving subjects, allowing the decisive moment to be easily captured. Low light: the latest flagship phone from Oppo is one of the best smartphones for photography in dark conditions, similar to its predecessor, the Oppo Find X6 Pro. In our tests, it did a great job of revealing shadow detail with nice contrast, and low light images showed good detail and very low noise. This applies to photos and video as well, as Oppo has matched the iPhone 15 Pro Max's ultra-low noise levels. Test summary about Xmark camera tests. Xmark camera evaluations are conducted in laboratories and in real-world situations using a wide range of subjects. Results are based on objective tests, the results of which are calculated directly by measurement software on our laboratory setup, and on perceptual tests in which a sophisticated set of metrics allows a team of image experts to compare aspects of image quality that require human judgment. The smartphone testing involves a team of engineers and technicians for about a week. Image, zoom and video quality are scored separately and then combined into an overall score to compare cameras across devices. For more information about the Xmark camera protocol, click here. More details about the smartphone camera results are available here. The following section brings together the essential elements of Xmark's comprehensive testing and analysis. Full performance evaluations are available upon request. Please contact us to find out how to obtain a full report. Picture about Xmark camera photo tests for recording and analysis. Xmark engineers capture and evaluate more than 2,600 test images in controlled laboratory environments and in outdoor, indoor and low-light landscapes, using the camera's default settings. The photo protocol is designed to take into account key use cases and is based on typical photography scenarios, such as portraits, family and landscapes. Evaluation is performed by visually examining images against a reference of natural scenes, and by performing objective measurements on chart images taken in the laboratory under various lighting conditions from 1 to 1000 plus lux and color temperatures from 2300 K to 6500 K. In our still image tests, the Find X7 Ultra achieved great results across all key image quality attributes. Our testers particularly liked the balanced color rendition with natural skin tones in all conditions. Exposure was generally pleasing, and the fairly wide dynamic range ensured good detail in both the highlight and shadow areas of the frame. High levels of captured texture and low noise allowed for high-quality portraits and landscapes alike. In addition, the well-tuned auto exposure and zero shutter lag, combined with the main camera's large image sensor, allows the action to be frozen and the decisive moment captured. Unlike some of its competitors, the Oppo phone doesn't feature a variable aperture, resulting in a shallower depth of field. Therefore, background subjects and group shots were not perfectly focused in our tests. Our testers also noticed some contrast and skin tone issues in high contrast scenes, but despite these minor flaws, the Find X7 Ultra delivered generally high quality still images and a natural presentation. Close-up is the result of the third use case introduced with Xmark Camera version 5. It rates the camera's ability to capture detail at subject distances of less than 10 cm and the zoom ratio is as close to 1:1 as possible. The Find X7 Ultra automatically switches to the ultra-wide camera module in macro mode. In our tests, the minimum shooting distance in macro mode was slightly longer than most direct competitors, but image quality in macro mode remained acceptable. Exposure is one of the essential features of technically good photographs. The main characteristic that is evaluated is the brightness of the main subject through different use cases such as landscape, portrait or still life. Other factors that are evaluated are contrast and dynamic range. For example, the ability to display visible details in both light and dark areas of an image. Repeatability is also important because it demonstrates the camera's ability to provide the same view when taking multiple photos of the same scene. In our tests, the Oppo captured still images with good exposure and a fairly wide dynamic range. In dim conditions, exposure was sometimes a bit too bright, yielding good detail but removing some of the low light moodiness. Images showed good detail in both light and shadow areas of the frame, but our testers noticed a slight lack of contrast in difficult backlit scenes. Colors were natural, vibrant and accurate, with white balance very slightly visible and well controlled. Additionally, all skin tones are presented nicely and naturally in all lighting conditions. On some occasions, our testers noticed slightly oversaturated colors which were affected by contrast issues. The Oppo's autofocus was fast, accurate, and reliable. Instant captures with zero shutter lag were achieved in most conditions, but not always in high contrast scenes. The large sensor in the Find X7 Ultra's main camera module provides a fairly shallow depth rating. As a result, some subject isolation was achieved in portrait shots, but in group shots, background subjects were not rendered quite clearly. Unlike some competitors, like the Huawei Mate 60 Pro Plus, the Find X7 Ultra doesn't feature a variable aperture, but it still manages to preserve some detail on background subjects using software processing. Thanks to the light gathering capabilities of the large sensor, the camera generally captured high levels of detail and managed to preserve fine detail well. Overall, details were preserved better than most competitors, with the exception of the iPhone 15 Pro Max, which, in bright conditions, delivered 24MP images with much better detail. Noise levels were well under control, but were slightly louder than its predecessor, the Find X6 Pro, in the lab. However, noise remained barely noticeable, even in low light, thanks to the large image sensor housed in the main camera module and efficient image processing. Image artifacts were very well under control on the Find X7 Ultra. Some shadows can only be seen in some animated scenes. Sometimes, some image processing errors in difficult scenes may cause a glitch in the face display. Portrait mode is one of Oppo's strong points. Like its direct competitors in the ultra premium category, the Find X7 Ultra produced good depth estimation and accurate blurring, even around fine details. However, using the 3x telephoto camera in portrait mode is a big advantage over competitors as it offers a more suitable viewing angle for portraits, while also delivering good detail and accurate skin tones. In our tests, the on-screen preview image was very close to the final capture, but as in most competitors, dynamic range was more limited in the preview, and the bokeh effect was less subtle and pronounced than it was in the final image. Zoom in zoom is one of the main strengths of the Find X7 Ultra's camera. Compared to its predecessor, the new model comes with better remotes, and now offers 2 remote camera modules with a large sensor. As a result, high levels of detail were captured at telezoom settings between 3x and 6x and beyond. Additionally, noise levels were low, and images showed good exposure and color accuracy. However, Oppo does not implement any close-up image merging, 1x to 3x. In our tests, this resulted in lower levels of detail than direct competitors using image stitching at near-range zoom levels. With a focal length equivalent to 14mm, the ultra-wide camera offers a slightly wider field of view than the Find X6 Pro. However, the unit uses a smaller image sensor, and in our tests, the level of detail captured wasn't quite on par with rivals like the Huawei P60 Pro or Vivo X100 Pro. However, overall, the zoom in on the video. The Find X7 Ultra delivers high levels of fine detail as well as low noise when zoomed in video mode. Despite the addition of camera modules, transitions are still handled well with little frame change, and the changes are only slightly visible in terms of exposure and color. But the Apple iPhone 15 Pro Max still delivers the smoothest transitions on the market. The ultra-wide camera on the new Oppo flagship comes with a wider focal range and a slightly smaller image sensor than the equivalent unit of its predecessor, resulting in a wider field of view. However, distortion and distortion were handled well and were only noticeable in a few shots. Compared to its direct competitors, the Find X7 Ultra's ultra-wide camera captured slightly lower levels of detail. Image noise was well under control. When using the telezoom, Oppo captured excellent levels of detail with the dedicated 3x telecamera. The same applies to the 6x long remote unit. In addition, the level of detail captured was consistently high at zoom levels intermediate between the two telephoto units. However, unlike its predecessor, the Find Video in our tests, the Oppo Find X7 Ultra's performance in video mode was excellent. As with still images, color rendering was very good, with well-controlled white balance and pleasant skin tones. The camera recorded high levels of detail while managing to reduce noise, even in low light. Unlike some competitors, for example, the latest generation iPhone, Oppo does not record in HDR format. However, even in SDR format, videos provide accurate exposure as well as a fairly wide dynamic range with good contrast. Additionally, video autofocus was fast and accurate, and the stabilization system did a good job of keeping things smooth and stable in all lighting conditions. Color rendition in video was fairly natural and accurate, providing a nice rendition of skin tones, even in warm low light, which often has a negative impact on skin tones. As for exposure, transitions in changing lighting conditions could have been smoother for a more natural effect. Video autofocus was fast and accurate while maintaining good subject tracking. Additionally, focus transitions were fairly smooth and lacked distracting stepping effects. As for still images, the level of detail captured in video mode was very high. The Find X7 Ultra particularly stood out in indoor and low light recording, where it managed to maintain high levels of detail. In some difficult low light conditions, movement in the scene can cause disruption to scene integrity and loss of texture, but overall, Oppo's videos provided good details with natural rendering. Video noise was managed very well on the Find X7 Ultra in all lighting conditions. Noise was barely noticeable in most areas of the frame, and was only slightly noticeable around moving elements in the scene. At the end of the video, I hope you liked it, and see you in a new video.